East. So my question is do you think there needs to be a clear break, and kind of we have to create a holistic American Muslim identity that is totally separate than what is in the Middle East?
I think it might be easier to do so, but I don't think it's feasible to do so. I don't know about you, Hadi, but growing up for me, we were taught that the Ummah, which is the Muslim community, is one.
Right.
Whether you're in the U.S. or the Middle East or Southeast Asia or Europe or wherever. That it's a difficult thing to focus on, because obviously we're all dealing with what's going on in our own neck of the woods, in our own countries, in our own cultural landscape. But I think if we make a physical break, or if we make a holistic approach that American Muslims is an American Muslim Ummah, there's something that's going to be lost there. It's never going to be easy for us to have a worldwide Ummah, but I don't think we should let go of the ideal. Personally, this is what I feel. When you talk about the notion that there are people who still think what rogues or what terrorists are doing is something good, there are always going to be those people out there, and they're going to be in every faith tradition. It's not going to be just in Islam. And that's unfortunately a fact of the world. And I feel, as a community, not just as an American Muslim community, but as a world community, we have done a lot to separate ourselves from that line of thought and from that, type of a group. Whether or not people are going to believe us, or whether or not those are the stories that are getting reported, that's kind of out of our control. As a Muslim journalist, as one who's covered Islam in America, for this long, I've tried to be even-handed, and I've tried to put forth the stories and the articles and the viewpoints about, people who have made this line of delineation. Sometimes you want to hear it, and sometimes you don't want to hear it. Like I've said in other interviews, those are not the sexy stories. Those are not the stories that sell. People are interested in hearing the bad stuff, but we keep moving forward, and we try our best.
Right, and I think I agree with you. I just think time and time again in kind of interfaith dialogues or public forums that I've gone to and have spoken at, that the number one criticism I get, a number of question I get is, you Muslims haven't condemned terrorism enough, or where
I'm a little done with that.
Exactly, I'm just so tired with that.
I'm a little done with that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Exactly, and it's just like in this day and age, if you can't go find somewhere some articles or things about all the number of Muslims that have denounced it, starting from day one, then I think there's something wrong. Another thing you talked about, kind of the what sells, is another article I noticed on here was about the number, the 10 Islamophobes.
Right.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So when we were putting together our coverage of the 10th anniversary of 9/11, I really had these two dual points in mind. I really wanted to focus on highlighting some of the Islamophobic network that has really taken root over the past couple of years, especially with the upcoming elections. And it kind of coincided with the release of Fear Inc., the report on Islamophobia in America, that was edited by Wajahat Ali and a couple other writers who I wish I remembered, and I should mention them. My apologies on that. But so I wanted to put forth, the notion that there's a lot of good work that Muslims are trying to do, and there's a lot of people who are trying to turn it around and really make it look bad. And the counterpoint to that was the Rogues gallery, because I always feel you need to own up to what's wrong, and you need to push forth what's good. You have to present both sides of the story. This is journalism. You have to own up to what's going on, and you have to try to be objective. And this is why we did both of the galleries.
Yeah, and it suggests everyone to go out there and read it. It's actually very very interesting information. I found it. I'm not a reader. I probably shouldn't be saying that off the air, but I found myself reading.
You're a journalist and you're not a reader.
I read in the upside down pyramid form, and you know what that means. And so I have it inverted. So I read the big stuff first.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't deal with the details. That doesn't.
You are so not looking good right now.
I know. I should probably stop. I think, Bukhari, this would be the time for you to jump in.
I'm trying, man. I apologize for the cough. I'm usually more talkative than this. I do have
early, man. We're fasting. I understand.
Yes, I'm telling you, I'm dying right now. Let me ask you a question. Looking at what you're doing with Patheos, one, I'm wondering what is the I guess the outreach that Patheos has in terms of, you know, where exactly does it seem to be reaching the most?
Well, I mean, our audience is mainly Christian right now. I mean, like I said, we are a multi-faith website, but the audience is predominantly Christian because that's what United States is.
Okay.
But our growth has been pretty phenomenal. We just had a company meeting 2-3 days ago, and we were going over our numbers. And apparently now we're the largest religion website, only behind Huffington Post Religion and CNN's Belief channel. I don't know what it's called, but CNN's channel itself. So I think we're climbing. We're doing pretty good. It's over 5 million visitors a month.
That's good.
And the growth is there. It's doing pretty well. And well, I don't know what more to say. It's a good place to be.
All right, that's definitely promising numbers there.
Yeah, it is.
Go ahead.
So I follow. So, can you talk a little bit about your? I know you have a blog that you write for.
I do. Yeah, I started this year.
Right. And did you talk a little about that?
Yeah, sure. It's interesting. Like it's kind of funny in a way when how do you say you're not much of a reader, and I'm making fun of that. But it's kind of funny to me too that after I've been working as a journalist. And the past years have been devoted to editing, but I've been a writer as well. And it was only now, at this point in my career, that I felt comfortable, putting together a blog and writing more from a personal standpoint, because people have been saying for years you should, and I just never was comfortable doing that. You and I know each other well, Hadi, so you know. So I have a son. My eldest son is special needs. He's severely autistic, and I have 2 other children. And so I started the blog at the encouragement of our editors at Patheos to be able to, respond or write to any, developing issues for Muslims in this country and to explore faith and family topics. And frankly, it's really taken off in the faith and family arena, and it's become a major platform just for presenting just in the moment life stories about raising our son and faith struggles and dealing with those questions that lots of parents deal with when they have difficulties with their children, when they have sick children or disabled children or differently abled children, whatever you'd like to call it, and trying to maintain faith to keep strong in prayer and belief while doing that, because I can't speak for every parent, but it has been a big struggle for me. And I felt like I was ready at this point to reveal that and to admit that. And I was hoping that would show others that this is a real thing and that we are not guilty of any particular thing by feeling this way. This is a real struggle. And, I think God recognizes us for our struggle and is there for us, even during the moments when I don't think He's there for me. So, and it has really turned out that way. I just posted an entry last night about how different this Ramadan, right now, at the start of it, we'll see how the month goes, but how different it's feeling right now than last Ramadan. Last Ramadan, there was a lot of problems that were going on, and those problems are still here, vacant, or still apparent here now. But I think this past year of sharing our stories and the outreach that has happened and the people who have reached back to me with their own stories has really, that has been God's gift, I think, to me, that community that has grown and shown me that, okay, you're struggling and so are we, and it's okay.
Okay. Appreciate that. We're going to cut to a commercial break real quick. If we can get maybe a couple callers in, the number is 788-0990 or, excuse me, 1-877 WLEE 990. Dilshad, do we still have a couple minutes to hang on to you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. So we're going to cut to a commercial break. maybe get a couple calls in for Dilshad, and continue the show shortly.
Guys, everyone out there has a car. If you don't, you probably need one. But I can imagine that it's really dreadful for you when your wife comes to you and tells you that, such and such is broken with the car and you have to send her to the mechanic. Well, I can tell you with certainty that at Car Care Auto Center, you're not going to be afraid to have your wife, your mother, your sister, or any female member of your family go to a mechanic because they're honest, they have integrity, and they repair the car right. I was there last week, and the mechanic was telling me that he's a Christian and that he left his other job because the owner at the other place was being dishonest with customers. So at Car Care Auto Center, take your car there. If you don't need a repair, they're not gonna do a repair for you. They're located at 5201 Midlothian Turnpike, across from Chesterfield Auto Parts, where you can pull your own part and they will install it for you. They also do Virginia State inspections. Give them a call. Their number is 804-716-0895.
In Pure Yoga, we have a ladies-only studio. Are you tired of stressing and feeling overwhelmed, or maybe you're just bombarded with nagging aches and pains? Come join us at Pure Yoga, where our mission is to help foster a sense of peace and tranquility with an energizing flow, centrally located near the intersection of Broad Street and Westwood Avenue in the Westwood Building. Register online at pureyogarva.com. That's PUREYOGARVA.com. Pure Yoga, a ladies-only studio.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know the mic was back on. All right, so we have a Dilshad. You're still there? Is she still there?
Oh,
I wish I could give him a glass of water, but
Hello?
I can't, man, because you're
Dilshad?
fasting. I'm here.
Okay, I know. Okay.
Don't make me laugh. It makes it worse.
He keeps telling me not to
No,
laugh.
because before we started the interview, I had this cough too, and I was like, "Oh, I can't do anything about it."
Yeah, seriously.
Normally I'm a really funny guy, but I had to scale back today because I don't want to get him laughing.
Yeah.
So we have a caller on the line, and so we're gonna try to. Do you mind taking some calls?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
All right, we have Azizuddin in Richmond. You're on the line at the community radio show. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Shukran. Thank you so very much. I want to first start off by wishing everybody Ramadan Mubarak and loving the show. And because it is Ramadan, I wanted to direct my questioning, my comments to the issue of Ramadan. Mm-hmm. But let me stop to say, first of all, I didn't know anything about paso3.com. I'm going online. I'm going to look that up.
Great
and
website.
Enjoy that and just gobble that one up.
Yes, definitely.
All right,
That'd be great. That's PATHEOS.com.
EOS. Thank you for that, because I spell it like it
so
sounds
all the
to
listeners
me.
can check it out.
Okay. My daughter was watching local TV this week, and a lady came on, and she was describing Ramadan to the local community here in Richmond, and it was all about food. Food. So my daughter got off, and she came, Dad, this portrayal is not, and it's a 16-year-old talking, Dad, this portrayal is not, correct. It's not about food, because this is what I'm, trying to teach my kids, that Ramadan is not about food, guys. It's not a food freak. It's a Quranic study. It's about gaining knowledge. So I'd like if possible, somebody to kind of help me out with that, so that the listening audience can better understand that Ramadan is not, okay, let's eat,
right.
but rather Ramadan is about a revelation that was sent to us. Because as you know, fasting didn't even begin until after the Hijrah. I mean, after some 13, 14 years later, fasting was instituted into the Ummah. Initially, it was always about the revelation sent to Musa, the revelation sent to Isa, the revelation sent to Muhammad in the month of Ramadan.
Right.
So if y'all can kind of help me out and let the audience, gain a better understanding on this, I really, really appreciate it.
I'm going to try to attack that here. That was my goal earlier. Sorry, the coughing hindered me. Okay, as you said, and when we reference to the Prophet Musa, Isa, and Muhammad. Musa, of course, is Moses. Isa is Jesus. Just so you have an understanding there. With excuse me.